Hello, and welcome to a special episode of the Stash Jam Diaries. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back, and you might be one of the people who requested this video, so thank you very much. This is has been really fun for me to put together, and you know I love hats just by watching my videos. And if you are new here, hi, my name is Jen, and I am coming to you from beautiful Cape Breton Island, which is part of the province of Nova Scotia in Atlantic Canada. I've been knitting for 12 years. Oh, yeah, 12 years. Yeah, since 2012. So I have a lot of hat projects under my belt. And after I did my sock favorites video, which I will link below in case you haven't seen it, some people requested that I do one for hats. So here we are. Today is December 1st, 2024, which is why I'm doing this video now, because hats are an awesome project to gift to other people because everybody needs a hat. They're relatively quick, especially if you're using a thicker yarn, and I will talk about some hats that have chunky. I go from worsted. Mostly these hats are going to be worsted to chunky, but there will be some sock and DK. Transitional season hats are also awesome, so that's where the more fingering weight and DK weights hats come in. Where I live, we definitely have changing seasons. Some of you live in climates that don't require a chunky hat, so you might be looking for something on the little lighter side. So I do have a few of those to talk about. Hats are a great project to practice your different stitches if you want to try cabling or brioche or anything like that. They're just wonderful projects. As you can tell, I love hats. I've knit a lot of them. They're just, yeah, I don't know what I love more, hats or socks, really. So this might be a little bit of a longer video, so make sure that you grab yourself a snack, or you definitely might want a drink of something. I've got my festive water receptacle right here. This is, wait, there it is. It's a major award. Anyway, that is my second favorite Christmas movie. My first favorite Christmas movie, of course, is The Muppet Christmas Carol. So anyway, I do have my 3 pets in the room with me right now. My dog Piper is sleeping right here, and my cats Ginny and Maisie are in their kitty condos over here. Apologies if you hear any pet grooming noises or snores or anything during the video. I'm gonna have to do something about Piper because somehow she's ended up with her head on some of my hats, so I'm gonna have to disturb her at some point. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by talking about a couple of my favorite designers. There's 2 designers that I keep kind of going back to. I hope that you will provide me with more in the comment section. That sock knitting video that I did, I absolutely loved the interaction in the comments section of that one. I got so many great pattern ideas for socks, so many yarn ideas for socks. It was everything that I had hoped it would be and more. So please feel free to give me more ideas. That's why I want to do these videos, because I want to inspire you and hopefully get a little inspiration from you as well. So I'm going to talk about designers. I'm going to talk about yarns. I'm going to talk about some that don't fit into either of those categories, some one-offs. I'll talk about some free patterns that I love. Not all of the patterns that I'll talk about previously to that are paid for. Some of them are actually free, but I do have a special section just for free patterns. And then finally, I'm going to talk about some of my knitting plans for hats coming up. And one is already on the needles, which I will show you. It doesn't look like much, but I'm going to show you anyway. So without further ado, I am just going to jump right into it. All right, so you've seen this one flipping around in my hands while I was doing my intro. My first designer that I want to talk about is Tin Can Knits. I think they're absolutely fabulous. They have so much variety in their patterns, and they have some that are free, some that are paid for, some that are geared towards beginners, and then some that are a little bit more complicated. And this one is the stovetop hat. I absolutely love this pattern. I knitted this one out of Cascade 220 in the Hunter Orange colorway because in my line of work and in my hobbies, I spend a fair bit of time outdoors in the fall during hunting season. So I wanted something orange for my head, and I wanted it to be prettier than my other just plain fleece Hunter Orange hat that I have. So there it is. If I were to reknit this again, I am at a phase in my life where I really like a rolled up brim. So I would knit the brim wider so that I can roll it up. And I'm actually now considering taking the pom-pom off of it. I don't know. This is what it looks like on. I'm going to be messing up my hair all through this video, but I don't care. I really don't. So anyway, this is, like I said, if you want to practice cables and different stitches, this is a great one. I'm not a huge fan of moss stitch knitting it in the process, but I do like the look of it when it's done. So yeah, that is the stovetop hat. Another one that I want to talk about by Tin Can Knits is a free pattern. And I've knitted a couple of times, but I don't have it here because I gifted it. I'm trying to remember. I know I knit one. I knit an antler hat and cardigan set for my itty bitty niece when she was itty bitty. And I can put that picture here. You can't really see the hat, but it's that is an antler hat. And then I have a better picture of an antler hat that I knit for an adult that I will put here as well. So yeah, there will be a montage of hats that I've knit at the end of the video, much like the sock one that I did. I went through all my project pages and picked out the hats because a lot of them I don't have. So it's going to be fun to like put them together in the end of the video. And I put pictures of myself wearing the hats from my Instagram. And the only one I have, the only person in my life who I have pictures of wearing my hats is my niece Clara. So I have a few pictures of her as well. So those will be in the exit montage. So another Tin Can Knits pattern I want to talk about is Twisp. And I will put the picture here. I knit one for each of my nieces for one Christmas. I knitted that one out of a yarn that is now discontinued. I can't remember if it was a sport weight or a DK. I'm just going to pause for a sec because Piper's scratching. Okay, I think she's good now, and I put her blanket over her, so I think she'll settle. She loves blankets. So anyway, yeah, so Twisp. I'm not sure if it's sport or DK, but it is a super cute hat, and looks really cute on the child folk. So anyway, and then there's a couple of others by Tin Can Knits that I knit. Oh, Gather, that's another one I'll put here. And so the Barley hat is a really popular one. It is a free pattern, and it is part of their Simple collection, which is geared towards beginners. I've knitted that one as well. So that is most of the things I've knit from Tin Can Knits. There's probably a ton more, but I don't have them. So there's a situation that I have to remedy, and that is that for this next designer, I have not knit myself a hat from their patterns, and I absolutely love their patterns. That designer is Thea Coleman, and not only do I love her hat patterns, but much like Tin Can Knits, I also love all of her other patterns. I've knit, so far I've knit a cardigan by her as well, which actually matches one of the hats. So we'll talk about the Oban hat. I've knit this, I think, 3 times. So here is a photo of one of the ones that I've knit. That one was knit out of Sugarbush yarn, which is discontinued, but I held it with a mohair, which I think was also from Sugarbush yarns because they had Sugarbush drizzle, but I mean any worsted weight and mohair. They came out like just beautiful and fuzzy and wonderful. And I've knit the Oban cardigan as well. If you watched my previous video where I talked about how Piper chewed a button off of one of my favorite cardigans, yeah, it was that one, and it is in the stitch pattern that the hat is in. The other one that I absolutely love and have gifted like 4 times now is the Glenfiddich. I've knit that out of Malabrigo and Sugarbush. I think out of those two. It's sad because Sugarbush was one of my favorite yarns for knitting hats out of, and they were a Canadian company, and I absolutely adored the yarn. And yeah, they just kind of disappeared. So anyway, sadness, go away. We're going to talk about another one that I want to knit for myself, and that is Penderin. But like all of her hat patterns are just so lovely and just have that Celtic vibe that I love, because I live in a very culturally Celtic area of Nova Scotia or of Canada. Cape Breton, like most of us, have some Scottish in us, so myself included. So the Celtic culture is pretty strong here, and I just love the look of Thea's patterns because they're very, as I said, very Celtic. So yeah, that's another one, another pattern designer that I really love. And now I'm going to go and get into some of the yarns that I enjoy using for knitting hats. I have good news for you, because all of the hats that I'm going to talk about in this section, well, of the first, all of the first brand of yarn that I'm going to talk about, I have all of the hats that I'm going to talk about right here. So here we go. I'm about to talk to you about Malabrigo. And yes, I know it's a little bit on the pricier side, but my goodness, is it good. Like, it is soft. The stitch definition is on point. When I first became a knitter, and the first time I knit it with Malabrigo in like a cable pattern or something like that, I was just like, I've never seen the cables that defined like that before in the other yarns that I'd knit it with it. And it's like beautiful kettle dyed merino. It's lovely. I've gifted a lot of hats out of Malabrigo yarn, especially the Malabrigo Mecca, the chunkier one. They knit up so nice and quick. And here's one right here. This pattern is, I think it's pronounced Phaedra by Gudrun Johnson. This is Malabrigo Mecca in, oh, I have to check my notes, the Azul Fresco colorway. If you look at my project pages, you'll notice, and actually even here, I knit a lot of blue for myself. So this one, I love this hat. I don't knit a whole lot of hats with lace because, you know, it's, if you're trying to keep warm, it's, you know, not necessarily practical, but I loved this pattern so much. I don't know if you can see the pattern that great, but I'll take it back off again and hold it up. But it has this like lace, like kind of point going on. And yeah, it's 100% merino wool, and it is just scrumptious. So that one is Phaedra by Gudrun Johnson. And then this one is Aspen. It is by Melissa, and I'm sorry, I'm probably going to butcher her last name because I think I always do. I think it's Sashwari. She is on hiatus from designing patterns for a bit, but her patterns are still available. She just hasn't been designing for a while. But look at that. Isn't that pretty? So this is Malabrigo worsted in the Bobby Blue colorway. And this is what it looks like on. I wonder, yeah, if I should move back a little bit. You're just gonna have to bear with me. And feel free to provide constructive criticism about my videography. It's fine. It's fine. I can take constructive criticism. It's good. And I learned from it. So anyway, this is the Aspen. This is, yeah, so worsted weight, it would knit up fairly quickly. And if you wanted to play with cables, like I said, this is a nice chunky cable. And I love this little design in between them. So that's a great pattern. This one, so this is the only pattern I'm going to show you that is discontinued, and the reason I'm going to show it to you is because A, this was like my first hat that I ever knit, and B, you can get patterns just like this anyway. I have another sample for you. So I think this one was actually called the Classic Slouchy Toque, and the one that I have in place of it to recommend is the Classic Slouchy Hat by Pearl Soho. So yeah, that's in my Ravelry bundle if you want to check it out. But this is my first hat right here. This is another Malabrigo worsted, and the colorway is called Ibiza or Ibiza. Some people pronounce it either way, but it needs soak. Some of these hats definitely need a soak, which I will do after this, but it's a little slouchy number. This is great for like a teenager in your life or something like that, or yourself, you know. The colorway, oh, I thought I knew this. I have it written down though. I said it, didn't I? I did say it because I probably didn't pronounce it right. I said Ibiza. So, yeah, all it is, and all the pattern that I recommended is just a ribbed brim and a stockinette top. It's fine, you know. I should have mentioned Pearl Soho maybe as a great source for hat designs, because they have a ton of free patterns, and I'm going to be talking about them again later in the video. So that is that one. And then we have the classic sockhead hat, which is another free pattern on Ravelry. This one was knit out of Malabrigo sock, and this colorway is Arco Iris. If you are familiar with the Malabrigo colorways, Arco Iris is a very pretty one. This skein that I got is a very green one. Like a lot of the time, you don't know what you're going to get with them, really, unless you're like buying them in the yarn shop and can see the skein of yarn. Some of them lean a little more with the pinks and the purples and the yellows. Some of them lean more green and yellow. Some of them, like this one, leans more green. That's just the thing about Malabrigo yarn, though. You're not going to get the same thing every time. You got them, even if you have the same dye lot, they're probably going to look different. So when you're knitting with it, especially if you're knitting something like a sweater, you should probably alternate your skeins. So anyway, this is a sock head, free pattern, all similar. Well, pretty much the same thing as this one, except this one's worsted and this one is out of fingering weight. So that is my sock head hat. And I have two more in two other weights that we did not yet talk about. This is the Owl in the Thicket hat. I shouldn't look away when I'm talking because then you can't hear me as well. This is the Owl in the Thicket hat by Sarah Huntington Birch. And this might have been one of the first times that I played with beads, with bead knitting. I have to hide my face so it'll focus. But you can see the little owls, and then there's leaves up on the top. This is probably a little bit more variegated than I would have, you know, normally knit this out of, but it was this is the yarn I had in my stash situation and what I wanted to use, and so that is what I did. I hope you can see that fairly well. But yeah, so I knit this out. I don't think I even said what I knit this out of yet. It's Malabrigo Rastita, which is their DK weight, and the colorway is Peacock. So yeah, I was still in my short brim era. I still wear these hats too, though. But yeah, I still wear the ones with the short brim, but as I knit more now, I knit the folded up brim. So the last one I'm going to talk about in the Malabrigo section is the Hogsmeade hat. This one is by Auntie Karen Knits. And it is out of a super bulky weight yarn called Rasta. The colorway is Ravelry Red. And oof, here it is on. This is a great, it's a free pattern too, as well, just so you know. It is free. This is a great, super bulky, very warm hat. And it is so soft and so squishy. But so that one is the Hogsmeade hat by Auntie Karen Knits. There it is. All right, I am going to move on to my next yarn. Okay, so the next yarn brand that I want to talk about is local to me. It is Fleece artist Handmaiden, and they have a ton of different bases between the two sister companies that are under, you know, like the Fleece artist umbrella. One, I think the Fleece artist is more just your merino wools and stuff and your sock yarns, and then Handmaiden is like your kind of luxury side of that. You get into the like camel yarns and silk and all kinds of mohair, cashmere, all that stuff is under their Handmaiden umbrella. So I love knitting with both for all the things. I've been knitting with them since I started knitting. But today I'm just going to talk about the hats. Sorry, I can't talk. Today I'm going to talk about the hats. And this one, pattern is a free pattern. It is called Cocoon. And it is by Maison Le Rilili, something like that. It's like I'm just going to take my notes right here. It is Rillie. Rilili. And so this yarn is Fleece Artist, Backcountry. And this yarn was from their Canada National Parks colorways. And I can't remember the name of the park, but it's one out in BC. I think it starts with a K. You can tell me in the comments if there are any BC people or people who visited that park. I would love to visit all the Canadian national parks, or most of them. There's some that you have to get into by like plane or whatever, so that's probably not going to happen, but look how pretty. And this is just a nice squishy pattern. I can't remember the construction of it. It's fisherman's rib maybe. I'm trying to remember. And the whole thing is just the same, but this would be a nice quick knit in a bulky yarn for that special someone in your life, you know. Showing the socks, I didn't try them on, but it was so much easier. Anyway, so that is your bulky option. So this yarn is, okay, so it's the Simple Pleasures hat by Pearl Soho. So again, you just get that nice ribbing with a stockinette top. This is one of my favorite hats that I've ever knit in one of my favorite colorways of all time. I talked about this colorway in my knitting story video where I talked about how I became a knitter and some of my early projects, and this colorway came up a few times. It is called Cape Breton Highlands, and I believe it is exclusive to Tracy's Rolling Yarn Shop. It used to be exclusive to Bedeck Yarns before they closed. But yeah, since this section is about the yarn brand, maybe I should talk about the base of this yarn. So this is Handmaiden fine yarn, and it is the alpaca merino base, and it is just, this sat in my stash for I don't know how, like years, because I was scared to knit something with it because it's so nice. It is such a nice yarn. And when I finally did knit this hat, it was like the best. And I knit matching fingerless gloves to go with it. And they're my favorite things. One of my favorite things that I've ever knit. So anyway, goes to show, knit your fancy yarn. Okay, enough of that one. So that is the Simple Pleasures hat by Pearl Soho, which is another free pattern. The next one I'm going to talk about is another free pattern. And this is Handmaiden Swiss Mountain Woolly Silk. I think it's either a worsted or a DK. But look at this. Just look at it. And I did hold it with mohair. Look at that. Did I say the pattern? It is the Road Trip hat, but Road is spelled R-H-O-D-E, and it is by Kara McKinley. And yeah, free pattern. Beauty. This is one of my favorite hats. You're going to hear me say that a lot because I have a lot of favorite hats, but this one is just so special. It is so soft, but yeah, like just in the name, woolly silk. You know what you're getting right there. It is just so lovely. Did I say what? I didn't say what the colorway is. I don't know what the colorway is. Maybe that's why it's not in my notes. I will have to go and look. This was like a one-off skein that I found at like, I think I found it at Have a Yarn in Mahone Bay, which is now closed. So I don't know if maybe it was one of their exclusive colorways. Because like, you know, like I mentioned the Cape Breton Highlands colorway. Fleece Artist Handmaiden will do exclusive colorways for different shops. So that might be what this is, but they have so many great colorways. It's just, yeah. So I'm going to fix my hair and then talk about the next yarn that I used frequently for hat knitting. Okay, so the next type of yarn that I've used frequently for hats is Estelle yarn, and I've used their worsted, I've used their chunky, I've used their DK, and I've used this yarn a lot for donations or for kids because it is a good like washable yarn. It is a combination of merino, not merino, oh maybe it is merino, I'll put it right here. It's wool, but it's wool and acrylic, and I think there's some nylon in it, so it could be used for socks as well if you wanted to knit some thick socks out of it. So of course I don't have, well, up until like 2 days ago I had some of the ones that I made for donations, but they had to go down to the library because the deadline for donating was yesterday. So I was going to just like save them for this video and then donate them next year, but I'm like, no. Like I was stockpiling too many things, so they all had to go. So anyway, I do have this one though. Oh, and I do have a picture. So, okay, I started talking about this one, so I will show it to you. I love this one. My brother got me a kit. He was visiting the Yukon as part of his work a number of years ago, and he went to a yarn shop and got me this as a Christmas gift, and it was a kit for this hat, and the hat is called Yukon Campfire Hat by Treeline Knits. It is a paid for pattern, but you get the pattern with the kit. I am going to put the name, I'm trying to remember the name of the, you know what, just 1 second. I have a project bag here that the kit came in, and I will check what the name of the yarn shop is because I think they ship if you're interested. 1 sec. Okay, so here it is. It is the Itsy Bitsy Yarn Store in Whitehorse, Yukon. And yeah, you can check them out and see if they ship. Well, Canada Post is on strike right now, but some of you might be watching this after that. I'm pretty sure it came with the pom-pom as well. I can't remember. But it is a nice soft yarn too. A combination of wool and acrylic makes it pretty durable and everything. I wouldn't mind knitting another one of these in another color. I know like this is like the main like buffalo check, like red, but it'd be fun in like grayscale or like blues. Since blue is my color that I seem to like to knit, but anyway. So that is that one, and I am going to post a picture right now of the landfall hat that I knit out of a variety of Estelle, and it was in worsted. So there was that one. And then that landfall hat, that is out of the saltwater knitting books. I'm going to put which one here because I can't remember. But if you watch my other videos, of course, you're familiar with the saltwater knitting books because of the saltwater stash stand. Anyway, another one that I knit out of Estelle is the antler hat. And that was the one that my little niece Clara was wearing in the picture that I posted when she was a tiny, tiny human. So, yeah. I'm sure there's more. Because all of those different colors in the landfall hat came from somewhere. They're gifted or whatever. So anyway, it is time to move on to the next yarn that I knit a lot of, and I think I have a lot of the hats here, so let's get into it. All right, so the next yarn that I like using for hat knitting is Cascade 220, and you've already saw it with my stovetop in the Hunter Orange colorway, so I will just set that aside. This hat pattern is a free one. It is called Worm, W-U-R-M. I can't remember the colorway name of this. It might be, I thought maybe it was Summer Sky. I could be wrong. I know I had Summer Sky in my stash at some point. But here it is. It's just a fun, squishy purl, then knit a couple of rows, and purl a couple of rows, and knit a couple of rows. It looks like a honeycomb. So yeah, and it is worm. Oh, and it has a folded over brim as well. You can see that. So there is some seaming involved. But it is, yeah, it stays on your head good with that folded over brim, let me tell you. Oh, that's that. You could see the like join part. This is one of my first hats that I knit. It was like a little later, but there, as you can see, it's a little, the brim is nice and like snug, so it holds it on your head. If you don't like a tight brim, then you know, you can always knit it a little looser, but because that's something you should be aware of when you're knitting it. It's not this snug when you initially knit it, but once you got that folded over brim, it does become a little more snug. So if you don't like a snug brim, sometimes I like a snug brim because it's windy. And I've had instances with hats like blowing either around on my head, maybe not necessarily flying off my head, but definitely blowing around on my head. So yeah. Anyway, this is one, this like some of these, yeah, they need a little soak. They need a little love. So after I record this, I am going to put some of these hats in the soak. So the next one, this is just in Cascade 220 natural. I didn't talk too much about the yarn, did I? It's 100% wool. You can get a superwash version. As time goes on, I try to not use superwash as much anymore because, well, there's environmental issues with it, and then also the yarn sort of loses its thermal properties after that process. I do notice that some of my mitts that I wear that I've knit out of superwash yarn aren't as warm as the ones that I've knit out of non-superwash yarn. Cascade 220 is very economical. It's not a very expensive yarn. It is a little itchier than, like, say, the Estelle, which is also economical, by the way. A little itchier than the Estelle, and itchier than the Malabrigo, which uses mostly merino, I think, and everything. So anyway, so there's those things to consider, but it is a good workhorse yarn. This is a very durable yarn. I just really like it. I think this colorway is called Natural. This hat pattern is called Timber Bay. It is another one by Melissa Sashwari. I think that's how you pronounce it. She has lots of great hat patterns. Maybe I should have put her in my beginning part. Now I have to redo the whole video. No, I'm just going to say she has great hat patterns. So yeah, so this is the Timber Bay, and it is a squishy, joyful, slouchy, and I think you can knit it without the slouch, right? Like, just picture it. Picture it without the slouch, but yeah, this is it with the slouch. Yeah, so just great. Warm yarn, great pattern. I don't know what else to say. I like all the different, the change. Like, there's a lot of interest in this pattern. Like, you're not going to get bored with it because you're switching things up as you go along. I should reknit this one for, I get involved with, they become an outdoors woman program, and they're having one like local to me in February. I'm hoping to do it as a participant, like as a student rather than as an instructor this time, because I've always wanted to take some of the courses there. But they have a fundraiser that is a silent auction, and I always donate a few things. I should knit another one of those hats just for that. So anyway, that is all the yarn I'm going to talk about. I am going to sort myself out, and I will be back talking about some of the one-offs of my favorite hat patterns. All right, so now I'm just going to get into some of my random favorite hats, and I am going to start with Quadri by Michelle Wong. Let me just put those there for now before they fall off my lap. But okay, here it is. This is a wonderfully cabled hat. As you can probably tell from like most of this video, I do enjoy cabled hats. I'll enjoy textured hats. This yarn, I'm not sure if it's still available, but it is Waterloo Wools worsted. It is like kind of a light worsted though, but I love the color. The color is very up my alley. Here it is on. I really enjoyed this pattern. I've knit two of this pattern. I've knit one out of Malabrigo and gifted it. And kept this one for myself because it's one of my favorite colors. But that is Quadri. You might find that on the Brooklyn, I think it's a Brooklyn Tweed pattern by Michelle Wong. So yeah, so that is that one. The next one I want to talk about is Guardian Elk. And it is by Tiny Owl Knits, and I absolutely love this hat. So it is knit out of a bulky weight yarn. It is a paid for pattern. I knitted out of Quince & Co. Puffin, and it is just, it is a little big, but that's okay. It still, you know, performs its function and doesn't fall down over my eyes. So yeah. Love this one. I can't remember the colors. They were like, they're like nature type colors. So it's like iceberg, birch, and bark or something like that. I can't remember. But yeah, Quince & Co. Puffin, Guardian Elk by Tiny Owl Knits. And Tiny Owl Knits was one of the designers that I first noticed on Ravelry. And knit a couple of her things when I first started knitting. This is not one of my first knits. This was just from a couple of years ago, I think. Although a time is very wibbly wobbly. I have no concept of years or anything like that. So yeah, I could have knit this last year. I don't know. But yeah, one of my favorite hats. This is a great yarn. It is a single ply. And it was a little bit of a splurge for me because I can't get it around here. So I ordered a couple of Quince & Co. yarns from the States. And yeah, so this must have been a while ago that I did this, because it's been a while since I ordered anything from the States because of the exchange rate. And I don't think it's going to get any better. But anyway, love the hat though. Totally worth it. I can't not talk about the Musselburgh hat. And you're probably thinking, oh, I've seen this hat everywhere. And yes, I know you have. But there's a reason why this hat is knit so often. It is an absolutely fantastic hat. It is so functional. These are the two that I've knit myself. I've knit one as a gift for my brother-in-law last year. We are going to do a segment on shaming my dog Piper because she chewed a little hole in it, and I very This is not, you know, my best work. I just wanted to close the hole. But because this is I knit this long enough to flip up the brim. Here it is. And you can't see it. You cannot tell that my dog chewed a hole in this hat. But yeah, it is so functional. So I didn't mention the designer. It's Isolde Teague, the Musselburgh hat by Isolde Teague. And the thing I love about the pattern is that it's its own gauge swatch. So you knit, and then she has the chart. If you can count, you knit until you can count how many stitches per inch you have, and then you use her chart to determine how many stitches you need to get up to with that gauge before you start your decreases. And it's knit all in one piece as a tube that you fold in on itself, as you can see if you haven't seen this hat before. This yarn is discontinued, so there's no point in talking about that one. However, this yarn is very much available, and it is one of my favorites. This is Timber Yarns, and this colorway is Silver Bells. They have fabulous self-striping. They have it in both marled and unmarled in a lot of colorways. This one is my slouchy version without the fold-up brim. Wait, I have to adjust it a little bit, but there. This is my little slouchy one, or I can pull it down a little farther. But because it's double layered, it is just so good, and it seems like it looks great on most people, and it is so warm. But yeah, so Timber Yarns, they are out of Ontario, and they're lovely people. They have so many great colorways, so highly recommend them. And continuing on into the shaming my dog extravaganza. So this is another yarn that I had in my stash for a while, and this pattern kept coming up as the recommended pattern for it. But I didn't want to knit this hat. There was something, like, it just seemed too plain or something for how luxe the yarn is. And it is Noro. I can't remember the name, but it doesn't matter because it's discontinued. You might find it in a D-stash or something on Ravelry, so maybe I will tell you. Okay, let's talk about... Okay, it's Shirito. Noro Shirito, and it's like cashmere in it and stuff, I think. And yeah, it stayed in my stash for the longest time. Finally, I decided to knit this hat with it, and it turned out to be one of my favorite hats. Now, unfortunately, little Missy Pants got a hold of it, and she chewed this, and she chewed that. So it's just been like this for at least a year now. I've only had her for 2 years, and it's been a while since she did this because obviously we adjusted the... I started piper-proofing the house, so anything she couldn't get a hold of except that one time when I forgot to put away the Musselburgh hat, and she got a hold of that one. But anyway, this pattern, Soft Waves hat, pretty sure is a free pattern, and it is a great pattern. I totally underestimated this pattern and the way it fits on the head and everything. It is just, did I put it on yet? No. If you like a little slouch, it comes down. I really enjoyed this hat before Missy Pants got a hold of it. So I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I might just unravel it and then re-knit it. There's going to be a lot of ends. I'll have to check my stash to see if I had any leftovers. I probably had some somewhere. So, yeah, that's the plan now. I'm gonna, because I want this back. I want this back in my life right now. Piper. I do love her though. And I have another one for shaming. The shaming of the Piper. I love this hat. Love it. This is a Stephen West pattern, and it is called Honey Striped Hat. And I knit this out of Stitch Noir Fiber Arts, which is another Canadian indie dyer, and I absolutely love it. I love it so much. But of course, look what happened. This one might be a little easier to fix without like completely reknitting it. I still have the yarn in a basket right here, set aside for the reknitting adventure. Although I don't know if I still have the stripy colors. So what I probably should do is just try to repair that part. If you know of any good tutorials for that, please let me know, because unfortunately this was not a top-down hat. Oh yeah, pets. But yeah, Stitch Noir Fiber Arts, I absolutely love their yarn. Their excuse me, their colorways are just absolutely to die for. This was actually a DK weight sock set, but I didn't feel like knitting socks with it. I wanted the colorway to be seen. So yeah, I knit the hat. I stinking love it. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. One of my favorite hats of all time. Maybe she was jealous. I don't know. I have one more. One off that I found at the last minute. This hat is kind of special to me. So this is Who by Sarah Amoroso. It is a worsted weight. Oh, there's cat hair on it. This is a Tanis Fiber Arts green label. And this yarn, I went to Bedeck Yarns and purchased it on my first day of work at my new job. It's not new anymore. It's like 12 years ago? 11 years ago. I've been at it for 11 years. But on my first day of my current job, I went to Bedeck Yarns and purchased this yarn as a commemorative thing. And this is the hat that I knit. So it has little L's, and you can put buttons on all of them, but I only chose to put them on one as kind of an accent yarn. Where is it? Accent yarn. I meant as a little accent thing. And I always wear it like off, little off center. There. So that is that one. Yeah, so this is Tanis Fiber Arts green label. I don't know. I know she still makes yarn, but I don't know if they're still named the same way, but this is a worsted weight. And I think the colorway is like Stormy Sky or something like that. But yeah. So this pattern is still available on Ravelry as a free pattern and will be in my bundle down below. So that's a really good segue to start talking about some other free patterns that I've knit. Okay, so the first free pattern that I want to talk about is called Jason's Cashmere Hat. And this is one that I gifted, and here it is. I'm trying to remember, I think that was another one that I knit out of Sugar Bush, but I am just about to knit it again, and I think I'm knitting it out of Opulent Alpaca yarn from here in Cape Breton. So that one is going to be gifted this year, but this is an excellent free pattern. You'll see, if you go on Ravelry, you'll see a ton of people knit it. So you get all kinds of yarn ideas and everything. So yeah. That is a really great one. The next one I'm going to talk about is the Chunky Monkey Beanie by Susie Knits. Did I say who designed the Jason's Cashmere Hat? It's Melissa Thompson, in case I forgot. Maybe I'm saying it twice now. I don't know. Okay, so Chunky Monkey Beanie by Susie Knits. It is a bulky weight yarn. I knitted this one by holding 2 strands of worsted together to make it marled. And it just produced the squishiest, loveliest warm hat. So yeah, highly recommend that one. This one is a little bit sentimental for me. I knitted this one out of Estelle Color Flow yarn, and I had knitted it for my aunt who was in the hospital with cancer, and then not long after that she passed away. So yeah, so this pattern's a little close to my heart. It is Water is Life by Lavanya Patricella. It's knit in a bulky weight yarn. It is just a nice ribbed hat. It is lovely. And you can knit it with that lovely fuzzy soft yarn you know, because you don't have to worry about it having too much stitch definition or anything like that. And it turned out really well. So anyway, the next one I want to talk about is Cascade by Texas Knit 'em, and this one is one that I've knit for the tiny humans when they were very tiny. So I think I held yarn double for this one, if my memory, or did I use, I can't remember, but here's a picture. I think I used a color changing yarn for this one as well, if my memory serves. But it was super cute. Like, it just, the way it looks on a little person is just adorable. So that is Cascade by Texas Knit 'em. And then I already mentioned Who by Sarah Amoroso. I do have it in this list here. So if you want to go back in time in the video, you can go back and look at Who again. All right, so this is just going to be a little quick section before I sign off, but some of the hats that I have queued up right now, and actually this one's not queued up anymore, it's cast on. So this one is the Winter Smiles hat, and it is a free pattern from Drops Design, and the yarn that I'm using is Drops Air. It is just a nice 1x1 ribbed hat, and I'm knitting it as a gift this year for one of my family members. This yarn is so airy and so fuzzy, and it's not really that expensive. The only thing I noticed, the yarn comes in 50 gram balls. For some reason, I thought they came in 100 gram balls, and I didn't notice until I got home from the yarn shop yesterday. But I have more of this in my stash to be used for a sweater, so if I start to run out, I can use some of the sweater yarn. I'll have to compare it to make sure it's like the dye lot is close enough, but I can start using it for the sweater, and then when I start knitting the sweater, if I need to buy more yarn, I'll have to go get more yarn. Anyway, yeah, so Winter Smiles, it is just, yeah, nice fuzzy. It's going to be 1x1 rib all the way up, so it's a nice hat for, I'm knitting it for one of the younger people, my oldest niece. So I think she will enjoy that. It'll be nice and warm. It has a fold-up brim. But yeah, so that is one that I have on the go. And I previously mentioned that I need to knit myself a Thea Coleman hat. So the one that I picked is Penderin. I've already bought it, and it is in my queue. So I am going to go through my stash later and see. I think I have some Fleece Artist Cape Breton Highlands colorway worsted weight in my stash that might be actually perfect for it. Do I need another hat in Cape Breton Highlands colorway? Yes, absolutely I do, because the other one is like a sport weight. I need a worsted weight one in Cape Breton Highlands colorway because I just do. So anyway, another pattern that I've got my eye on is the Scrappy Plaid 2-night strand hat. Scrappy Plaid 2-night strand. Yeah, hat by Corando Lark. This one is really great for using up scraps. I'll put a picture of the from the pattern page on Ravelry right here, but look at it. I think that would be so great for my nieces. And just, you know, if you watch me, you know I'm overwhelmed by my scraps right now. So that is one I think that would really help with that. And so I look forward to casting that one on. And then another one I was looking at is Joji Locatelli has a new free pattern called A Twisted Affair. And it is a lovely cabled concoction. It is knit on a Woolfolk Luft, which I think is a blown in yarn similar to this one. So I'll have to get myself some of that yarn. Actually, I don't know if I'm going to knit it for myself or for somebody else. Yeah, and there's that, and then there's Jason's cashmere hat that I have to cast on. And I already mentioned that one. So yeah, that is that. So it's been a bit. That took a little while, but I hope that I managed to show you some knitting patterns that you could use. It's a shame that I don't have all the hats here, but you know, they're out living their hat destiny with their owners somewhere. And yeah, just warming heads. So they're not here. But I did have quite a few. As you can see, I have an abundance of hats for myself, which, you know, as you do if you're a knitter. Okay, so if you enjoyed this video and you have not seen any of my other videos, I do knit all of the things. I knit everything from household things to garments to stuffies, scrappy projects, cables, lace, all kinds of things. So if you enjoy that kind of thing, then why not subscribe and just check me out. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate you being here, and I really appreciate all of my current subscribers. I love the discussion in the comment section. So if you have anything that you want to share in the comment section, please do so. That is my favorite part of doing these videos. So I hope that you have a wonderful December. If you don't watch, if I can't wish you that later on in another video for the rest of the month. Happy Advent if you got your Advent yarns, Advent teas, Advent chocolates on the go starting today. And yeah, until next time, enjoy my little outro montage and take care of yourself. Bye.